What's up, everybody? Welcome back in the Drites Bro Sports channel. Thanks for tuning in. Ethan here, bringing you another ESPN mock draft. The first couple videos on the channel, I was mock drafting from the 2 overall spot. That's a pick I have in my main redraft league, but I thought I'd change it up, bring you guys a different spot here. We are in another 12-team full PPR. I do have the 9th spot in this draft, so we'll see what we can do, make some different picks and stuff. So I think it'll be good to practice not only from different spots, but I know not everybody's gonna have the 2 spots, so it'll be good to get some new content out from as far as picking from a different spot goes. So I am back on ESPN. I think this is the app I currently enjoy using the most for my mock drafts. Yeah, so draft's about to start. We'll see probably Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb come off, and then we'll see what we end up getting. Brandon Ayuk news just came out. He requested a trade. We'll see how kind of that impacts any fantasy drafts where he's going. Weird first pick there. Breece Hall going at the one overall. Very, very weird. I expect Christian and CeeDee come off now, though. But yeah, we'll just kind of see where this one goes. Try to get out some new content. I do still find just screen recording my phone to be the easiest way to do these mocks, as I'm learning how I like to put the content out. I do kind of understand that I'm sacrificing some quality, but I don't know. I'm still so new and learning how I like to make videos, so maybe as we get through the football, the mock draft season and into football season, we'll change it up more. Maybe get my brothers on here eventually. But yeah, as for now, still just like doing these mock drafts. Try to get these videos under 30 minutes and just talk about players with you guys. If you guys, as our picks coming up, if you guys enjoy the content at all, feel free to like and subscribe. And then please comment if you guys have any opinions as well. I like seeing other people's opinions of the players and talking fantasy football and football in general is fun to me. So our pick comes up here. Always take a peek at the running backs at this point. If Bijan or Breece Hall are there, definitely tempted to go them. They are not. Breece Hall went one overall, which is crazy. But we're probably going to have to just go receiver here. Loving Monra. He's awesome. He should have another crazy good season as long as he stays healthy. So I like that pick. If I am able to get Monra and I'm picking at the later half of the round, then that feels good. Much rather take a Monra over Puka, A.J. Brown, guys like that. I do like Garrett Wilson. Little nerve-wracking just to see how Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers do together, but you would expect them to both be great as long as they're healthy, which is another scary thing. Trying to bet on both of their health is a little worrisome. Not that you can be drafting necessarily with the idea that they're going to get hurt, but I'd rather just go Amon-Ra. He's a beast, especially with that new show on Netflix, Receiver. Man, Amon-Ra's awesome. It's making me tempted to draft Debo too, but you got to be careful watching these shows that get you all hyped for these players, and then all of a sudden they it could bite you if you base your draft off of these shows that come out at the beginning of the season. So our picks up here, I'm looking at Saquon. I love the one running back, one receiver starts, just to kind of have a solidified position on both your running back and receiver. I'm going to go Saquon with the Eagles. He should have a great year. He catches passes, and he's obviously a beast at running. So just one of the many, many, many guys. As long as he stays healthy, he should have a good season. I do like Derrick Henry and ETN, but Saquon, I think, is just obviously in a tier above them. We'll see how far Chris Olave, Michael Pittman Jr. fall, Marvin Harrison Jr. falls. Doubt. I mean, obviously, there's pretty good chance we won't be getting them in the third round, but it'll just be interesting to see how they go. It is also interesting on ESPN so far how far Marvin Harrison Jr. falls compared to a lot of other platforms. All these underdog drafts that we see, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going at the turn in the first, second round. So it's weird to see him falling to the end of the second, third round turn in ESPN mock drafts. Obviously, it's still early. I think there's 45 days away from my redraft leagues draft, and I'm sure most of everyone else's leagues. So we'll see how all the rankings change in all these apps. But it is weird to see how they are at the beginning and how much they change as training camp starts and people get injured and so on. So we'll see. Still very early. Still fun to kind of see where the rankings fall, just so you have an idea and how you like to try to build your teams. But yeah, so we're approaching the third round here. Travis Kelce just got picked end of the second round. That's way early for him. I think I prefer like Laporta, Andrews, even McBride or Kincaid over Travis Kelce almost this year. I don't know what you guys think. I am nervous about Travis Kelce this year with like all the hype, not hype, but all the kind of reports that he's knows that he's not his former self, and he's going to be kind of more limited through the season so he can try to be ready in better health for playoffs and so on. That's just like a red flag to me when it comes to fantasy. I mean, I want a guy that's going to be on the field all the time. I did notice that last year too. He takes a lot of plays off just with his age and stuff and trying to stay fresh. I mean, he's going to keep doing that this year, if not even more. So I don't know if I really want to be drafting him in the second or even the third rounds this year. I'd rather just pass and try to get a Kincaid in like the fifth or sixth. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Travis. Laporta's still there too. Usually he gets snagged early third round. So that's a guy we can look for here. Brandon Ayuk goes. We talked about him. Taking a peek at the running backs. Don't love any of them as my RB2. We got Camaro there. Jacobs, yeah, just don't love that. Definitely am going to look at receivers here. Mike Evans, Waddle, Devontae Smith, Debo. I think I have to go Mike Evans there. I mean, end of third round, Mike Evans seems like a good place to take him there. There's times where I'm tempted to take him when I'm drafting in the earlier parts of the rounds, maybe like between picks one through 4. In my mocks, I'm tempted to take him at the early third round turn. So we can get him later third round. I feel like that's a pretty good deal. Josh Allen's still here. I feel like when Josh Allen gets to the fourth round, that's usually a good pick. That's a guy I'm tempted to take here. Some of the tight ends going off the board. Laporta and Mark Andrews just went, and Kelce obviously already went. This running back situation is always so sketch because you don't want to be having to settle for a guy way down here later in the rounds because they're just such teardrop offs. But I also just don't love Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones at all, any of those guys. I might solidify my quarterback position here because now it being the 4-4 seems like a good spot to take maybe a Josh Allen. I do also like Devontae Smith and Debo as my flex would be kind of nice. I'm going to go ahead and go Josh Allen just because I don't ever seem to get him all that often in my mock drafts, and him being still here in the 4-4 in the middle of the fourth round seems like a decent value. With that being said, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, Richardson, all of those guys are still there as well. So maybe I should have just passed on him and tried to get my quarterback in the next pick. I don't know. The way the team looks so far is really nice. Josh Allen, Saquon, Monron, Mike Evans. I do like that start. Maybe would have felt a little better if I got like a Debo in my flex. But there's also just so many good wide receivers that you can get later. So we'll see how the board falls. I think as we approach this next pick, I'll definitely be tempted to take a running back. If a Zamir White's there, very tempted to pick him up as my RB2. We'll also have Dave Montgomery and guys like DeAndre Swift. So we'll think about that. I would also like to solidify my flex spot. If one of these receivers are still there that I really like, maybe a Higgins, Pickens, even a Godwin or Cooper. I do like all those guys. Then again, I mean, I could just wait another round to get like a Christian Watson as my flex. I don't hate that. I do think there's kind of a drop-off after Christian Kirk, though. In that Christian Watson range, it is kind of a drop-off. We'll see, though, because I also need to get a tight end as well, and I would love to get like a Josh Allen Kincaid stack. So that's going to be really hard to pass up if Kincaid's still here. Lots of different ways we can go. I do have a feeling that there's going to be one position in my starting lineup that I just really do feel is weak at this drafting 9th overall spot in a 12-team PPR league. I am worried that after I make these next two picks, I'm only going to be able to solidify 2 of the 3 starting spots I still have left between running back, tight end, and flex. And I think the one I'd choose to not take is going to end up being pretty gross looking later in the draft. So we're coming up to our pick here. It looks like there's going to be plenty of players we still like. There absolutely is going to be players we still like. So we're going to have to try to kind of go into this as strategically as possible. I think I'm going to solidify Kincaid for the stack. So tight ends figured out. I like the Josh Allen Kincaid stack. I find myself doing that a lot in these all my mock drafts, is trying to get a stack of some sort with whichever quarterback I end up getting. So getting Josh Allen, having that Kincaid stack just feels great. And I also really like Kincaid this year with all the weapons in Buffalo being sent elsewhere, and Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. They kind of cleaned house, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them this year, but Kincaid should benefit from that. So I like that. So far, so good. Now it's kind of, do I solidify my RB2 spot here, which if I don't do that here, the RBs later are really gross. I obviously like to target guys like Mostert and Rico Dowdle way late. Maybe like a Blake Corum, even maybe a Zach Moss. But I would much rather prefer, I think, a Zamir White or David Montgomery as my RB2 than one of those guys. I also have to keep in mind, if I do go RB, there's still a lot of good receivers here, like Tank Dell, Godwin, Cooper, McLaurin. I think if I go RB here, I'm going to just have to be prepared to have like a Christian Watson or a McConkey as my flex. But I think that's what I'm going to have to do. It feels weird passing up on like a Tank Dell or a Godwin or a Cooper. I don't love it, but I just know my running back situation is going to be disgusting if I don't take a Zamir White. I think I do like Zamir White a little bit at this point in the offseason. Training camps haven't really started yet. We might end up hearing some bad news about him. We might end up hearing good news about Zamir White. I don't know. The problem with the Raiders is they're going to be bad. Their quarterback situation is bad. I am kind of confident in Zamir White being that guy, though, there. And if he gets the workload that Josh Jacobs did a couple years ago, where he's on the field 80% of the snaps, able to catch passes, he's going to be a high-ceiling guy. Again, you just don't know for sure if he's going to be splitting carries with Madison or if he's going to be that lead guy. So it's definitely a little bit of a risk, but as my RB2, I don't hate it. I think I like the way the team looks more when I solidify the RB2 a little bit earlier, and then we can figure out flex with these next picks and later in the draft with some bench guys. But I'll take a Zamir White so far in the offseason, middle of July. I'm not too worried about him, and I can also try to pair him with like a Najee Harris on the bench or Zach Moss. Just to have some insurance. Raheem Mostert, we're still going to try to pick up some of those guys. But this next pick, I'm 100% going to be targeting my flex spot with one of these receivers. And Chris Godwin, I can't believe Chris Godwin and Tank Dell's still there too. He's going to get auto-picked at the very least, so I'm not going to be able to get him. But the fact that Tank Dell's lasting until the end of the 7th round is, oh my gosh, we got Tank Dell. Is something going on with Tank Dell that I've just been missing? How's he going at the end of the 7th round in these ESPN leagues? I will take Tank Dell as my flex. Now, he's coming off of that injury, which is always so sketchy. Being a Broncos fan, Cortland Sutton fan, after Cortland Sutton tore his ACL, he was horrible 2 seasons ago. His first full season coming off of injury. He did a lot better last year, but this is Tank Dell's first full season come off an injury in a packed receiving room. There's some red flags with him as well, but I think if you can get him as your flex receiver, your third receiver, that feels really nice. And there's so many other guys here still that you can get as your bench guy, like Christian Watson, McConkey we can probably get later. I think I am going to go an RB just to balance out the squad as much as I can. I will take Najee if he's here at my next pick. If not, I'll target Zach Moss. I am growing on Zach Moss a little bit just because he should be the lead back in the Bengals offense, which should be a great offense, taking that Joe Mixon role kind of. So I am growing on Zach Moss. If I can't get Zach Moss here or Najee, I think I'll probably opt to go receiver and just hope I can get Raheem Mostert somehow with the 9th round pick. Even a Blake Corum's fine. If not, we target guys like Trey Benson, Zach Charbonnet, Ford, and then Rico Dowdle way later. So it looks like we're going to get one of them, so we're fine. We're going to go Najee over Zach Moss, but it doesn't feel great. But Najee over Zach Moss, they're pretty much in similar roles. They both are projected to split. Tony Pollard, same kind of guy, just went. I'll go Najee. As a bench running back, Najee Harris is fine. I'm fine. I don't love Najee Harris if I'm having to start him. But if he's able to come off my bench for bye weeks, and if something were to happen to one of my running backs, I think he has a floor at least that you can rely on him in your leagues as a filler. And then if something were to happen to Jaylen Warren, then all of a sudden Najee Harris is a great pick. But moving on, let's kind of plan for our next pick here. So I'm okay to go running back receiver again just to keep that balance. I kind of like that because I think I'm going to end up liking my bench if I'm able to do that. So we got Najee. Some guys I'm okay taking here. Mostert. I think I'm going to have a hard time passing on Mostert if he's here. If we don't get a Mostert, Blake Corum, Devin Singletary is the starting running back for the Giants. I don't like him at all, though. We also have Zach Charbonnet, Ford. We could go for Chase Brown, the other Cincy back. Sometimes I find myself taking him. Blake Corum just went. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Mostert if he's still there. Still some decent wide receivers, but I do think we're close to a big drop-off. So that's another thing I need to keep in mind. Rome Odunze is a guy I wouldn't mind taking. Tyler Lockett, Xavier Worthy probably is a guy I'm targeting at this point. Now that we know Xavier Worthy's health is pretty good, he's participating in training camp. The news was just coming out today and yesterday. Raheem Mostert just gets picked, and we already, Jerome Ford's a guy I find myself taking. I'd rather lock up my receiver here in Worthy, and then just take one of these running backs after, because I think the drop-off in ESPN rankings after probably Worthy, I do not like Mike Williams. Brian Thomas Jr. is in that Jacksonville receiving room. Don't trust that room at all. Jerry Jeudy, nope, don't like him. Being a Denver fan, we know he's looking like a bust. Don't trust him at all in Cleveland. Raheem Shaheed, don't like him. Jacoby Myers is a meh pick. Kermit Samuel, meh pick. All these guys are just meh picks. I almost would rather just wait and throw darts at guys like Adonai Mitchell on the Colts or Dobbs for the Packers or way down here Dotson, Wicks, wait for Palmer, Purcell. You know what? We did hear that Purcell starting camp on a non-football injury list. So we have to figure out what's going on with that this offseason. But if Brandon Ayuk gets traded, that's a great pick late in the rounds. So we just got a receiver. You know what? I don't like any of these running backs. Let's take a peek back over on receiver. Kind of a gross space. We'll go with a guy here. I'm going to go with a Chase Brown. Maybe should have gone Singletary because Singletary is a projected starter. I just hate it. I'd rather go with a better offense than a Singletary. Even if he's Chase Brown isn't a projected starter at all. I'd rather go with the offense in Cincinnati than Green Bay, or not Green Bay, than the New York Giants. Man, they're going to be bad. I don't remember if I said this in any other video, but being a Denver fan, I think, Denver is going to be a pretty horrible team here in 2024. I think the Giants could possibly be one of those teams that's even worse than Denver. So somehow a kicker just got picked. We're at the part of these mock drafts that kind of just get scuffed. But there's some players late that we can talk about still, so we'll finish it out and hope that it doesn't take too long. I do like that I'm keeping the consistency. I might do the same thing again here, running back, receiver. Okay, looking at receiver here. Jacoby Myers is a guy that I could take, being what we think will be the RB or wide receiver 2 in Vegas. Just don't like the quarterback position. I think I'd almost rather just go Dobbs here. That's probably who we'll take, as long as he doesn't get taken, which it doesn't look like he will because people are drafting kickers and defenses. So I think we're going to go Dobbs and then Rico Dowdle, and then I'm going to feel fantastic about it. So, yeah, going to pass on Jerry Jeudy. He goes, go with Dobbs. Give me some of that Packers offense, and then we're going to go Rico Dowdle as people. Those of you that have watched any of my other 2 videos that I have out on the channel know that I love getting Rico Dowdle later. I hope his ADP doesn't rise too much by the time we all draft our redraft leagues. But as of right now, he seems like he should be having a great chance to be the RB1 in the Dallas offense. So that's a guy I target late. Algier's a guy that I find myself taking sometimes. If anything happens to Brian Robinson, he could be a league winner. I think they still like Algier too. I think he might get a lot of red zone carries. Kind of like the Gibbs and David Montgomery kind of situation in Detroit. I think Tyler Algier could be the David Montgomery in the Falcons offense, where he just vultures all of the red zone carries. We'll see though. It's just you just never know for sure how coordinators and coaches and people will run their offenses. You never know how injuries are going to look. So Tyler Algier is a guy I take sometimes, though. I'm finding myself taking. Let's lock up our Rico Dowdle. Could have gone Algier there, but I have something in me that's saying Rico Dowdle is going to be the starter. He's like the Kyron Williams of this year, I think, is Rico Dowdle. So that's a guy I just can't stop taking. I remember Kyron Williams last year was on the waiver wire after drafts. I think that's going to be Rico Dowdle. I just don't know how he's going so late when he should be. He's minimum RB2 right now behind Zeke, and Zeke's washed, so he should be able to easily overtake him. If Zeke even lasts through training camp, he could just get hurt in training camp. And then all of a sudden, Rico Dowdle's RB1 getting drafted in the he's going to skyrocket to like the 4th round, 5th round if anything happens to Zeke long term. So Rico Dowdle, don't know how he's going so late. We love it as of right now, though. We'll take him every time. Okay. We have 2 more bench spots. We might as well just keep the trend going running back and receiver, keep the balance. I'm liking the balance. Obviously, it's really gross. Don't love any of these running backs at all. There's a couple of them that you just take flyers on and get offenses. That's what we'll probably do. Guys that we're talking about right now are Jalen Wright and Ray Davis. Those are the guys I'll target here. Might go receiver first if I see one that I really like, which I do. I really like Dotson. I also like Wicks and Palmer and Purcell. If you ever want to go Purcell, I would not blame you. I might go 2 receivers here. You know what? I am going to go 2 receivers here. I'm going to go Dotson. It's kind of hard for me between guys like Dotson and Palmer. I'm going to go Palmer, actually. I like Palmer. Last year, I think I liked Palmer last year. He looked really good with Justin Herbert. Now that Keenan Allen's gone, they don't like Quentin Johnson. They've made it pretty obvious, and Quentin Johnson's made it pretty obvious that he's not very good. Josh Palmer and Ladd McConkey should be the 1-2 receivers in the offense, so they should be on the field every play. And Justin Herbert already has that chemistry with Palmer. So we'll see. I mean, I don't love that offense this year. I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot, but having a possible wide receiver 1 in an offense this late is pretty cool. And then I think this next pick I'm going to go, I have been taking some Jalen Polk in drafts as a flyer. I'm going to go Purcell. I just heard about his injury yesterday. I think he's expected to be ready for the year, though. And if that's the case, he could be a league winner if Ayuk gets traded. So I think that's a guy I'm going to kind of be targeting until we hear more. If Ayuk doesn't get traded, then there's not a huge upside for Purcell. But as we said at the beginning, we just heard about Ayuk requesting a trade yesterday, making his trade request official. So we are going to, at least in our mock drafts, we're going to keep an eye on Purcell until we for sure figure out what's going on with that. And hopefully we figure out what's going on with Ayuk before the season starts and he's either confirmed to stay or he's been traded. I think the sketchy thing with Ayuk now is he could get traded at the trade deadline, depending on how seasons go, which you just can't project. But that's what makes me nervous about that situation now. We're just going to have to wait and see and hope it gets figured out before all of our redrafts are official. So, okay, end of the draft here. We're going to go quick. Kicker defense. Are there any? Yeah, really no kickers that I super care to get. Really, Justin Tucker's the only guy. Maybe Justin Tucker and our guy, the guy from the Chiefs. I'm blanking on his name right now. I don't like him at all being a defense. Let's go with Bengals. What's homie's name from the Chiefs? I'm blanking on it. Obviously, don't like him being from a Denver fan. Oh, Butker, or whatever his name is. He's always automatic, it seems like. And they score a lot of points usually. So that's a guy I target. Him and Tucker. If I don't get either of them, then it's kind of just whatever. Any of these guys, you never know. I find myself halfway through the season always just looking at the rankings of the kickers available, and there's always 3 or 4 guys on the waiver wire that are doing better than the kicker I start every week. So if you're drafting a kicker before the last 2 rounds, it makes no sense unless you really want Tucker or Butker. And even then, you should be getting them like the 3rd to last round. Okay, I always get Dicker. Get Dicker here. Okay, draft's over. Let's look at the team real quick, and then we'll give it a rating out of 10. All right. Don't often draft from the 9 overall. to be honest with you, so I didn't really know what to expect here. Get out of this. We get a Josh Allen as our starter. Love that. Stack him with Dalton Kincaid as our tight end. Love that stack. Saquon and Zamir White. I do feel good about the RB room, and I think since we built out our bench so evenly, I'm not even worried about Zamir White anymore. I really like that. Amon-Ra, Mike Evans, Tank Dell being our flex. That feels pretty solid. Man, I like this team. We get Xavier Worthy on the bench, Dobbs on the bench. I don't know, guys. It makes me kind of nervous because I've been mock drafting a lot at the 2 overall because that's the position I have in my main redraft league, and I haven't been giving any of those teams much very often over like an 8 out of 10. I think this one's a 9 out of 10 on my personal scale. I just think the whole team's solid, and I really like the way I built out the bench. I can't even really think off the top of my head where I kind of regret anything. Maybe the Debo situation at the beginning of the draft, getting Debo maybe over Josh Allen and waiting on quarterback, so we could have Debo in our flex. Maybe that's the only thing. But we got Tank Dell falling to us at the end of the 7th round or whatever it was. That feels pretty good. That Tank Dell's our flex. And then even if Tank Dell doesn't work out, we have guys like Xavier Worthy, Dobbs, Palmer, all on our bench that I feel pretty solid about as well. So, I don't know. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. But I like this team. I think it just feels good looking at it. I'm growing on Zamir White. I think that's part of the reason why I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Maybe a couple weeks ago, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 because of the Zamir White being the RB2, but he's grown on me the last week or so. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Feel free to comment about the team or just any of the players you want to talk about, or any of the opinions that you have about fantasy football this year. Maybe something I said throughout the video. I'd like to see those. But yeah, this is going to be the end of this one, guys. I'll be getting out a few more at least just from other spots. Maybe something in the middle of the draft order, maybe like a drafting 5 or 6, and then we'll get some stuff from the at very end of the draft, like the 11, 12 spots. But let me know if you guys want to see anything specific, and we'll try to get working on that. But that's going to be all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you would like, or if you want to see more. That's it for today. Peace.